Are NBA All-Stars taking on and winning against tyrannical government? Before I break down legendary clips of Jonathan Isaac and Bradley Beal, let's see which NBA All-Stars are standing up against medical authoritarianism. So first off, CNN reports NBA's New York and Bay Area teams prepare for COVID-19 vaccine policies set by home cities, which is the governments in New York and California. The NBA has warned the New York Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets, and Golden State Warriors that vaccine protocols set by their home cities would prohibit their players from participating in home games in New York City and San Francisco if they were not vaccinated or exempted. The city's vaccination policies do not apply to players from visiting teams who compete at their arenas. So let's call out these anti-scientific bozos who consider themselves experts. How in the world would it make sense to try to force Golden State Warriors and Brooklyn Nets players to get vaccinated, but players from other teams that are unvaccinated can play at their arenas? That makes a lot of sense. If you're an idiot, like these people are, they're idiots, pretending to be health experts. Then why is childhood obesity going up? Why did they lie about the food pyramid? Why are so many foods that we feed to millions of people in America illegal and banned in many of the rest of the developed world? Why are adults getting fatter? Why is life expectancy going backwards? Why are suicides, opioid, and fentanyl overdoses increasing? Why do they not have a vaccine mandate policy for illegal immigrants coming across our country, but only for our citizens?
But it's a requirement for people at a business with more than 100 people. It is not a requirement for migrants at the southern border. Why?
That's correct. Go ahead.
It's because the people running America hate the people who live in America. Literally. They hate you. That's the science. They hate your guts. They hate citizens. They hate you. Once you realize that, it makes a lot more sense. Wait, let's not ask too many questions. They hate questions. But the cities are forcing the home teams to be vaccinated, but not the away teams, because science. I watch the TV and I believe the science. I know the science. This is science, folks. Right. Andrew Wiggins, who plays for the Golden State Warriors, had his religious exemption from the vaccine denied. And Kyrie Irving seems to be on the front lines of standing up against this medical authoritarian tyranny. The Rolling Stone reported that NBA's anti-vaxxers are trying to push around the league, and it's working. They're upset that the NBA players are getting their way. First off, I have to address this anti-vaxxer word, which Merriam-Webster defines as a person who opposes vaccination or laws that mandate vaccination. So even if you're one of the tens of millions of people who got the COVID vaccine, but politely think that people should have their own right to choose, like LeBron James, for example, take a listen.
But you don't think the issue is important enough for someone with your stature to speak out on it?
You know, we're talking about individuals' bodies. You know, we're not talking about something that's, political.
You're an anti-vaxxer, according to Merriam-Webster. How dare you get all the vaccines we tell you to get and believe that people have sovereignty and freedom? These people are medical authoritarian psychopaths. I could call you anti-human, anti-freedom, anti-black man sovereignty, anti-exercise. Would they call you anti-juicer if you didn't drink every juice when the government or the corporations told you to drink it? Drink the orange juice. Drink the carrot juice right now. No, I like juice, but I decide which juice goes into my body and when it does, just like medicine. Most of the people they're calling anti-vaxxer have been vaccinated, so the medical authoritarian psychopaths and the low IQ mainstream journalists, gatekeeper, useful idiots want to try to smear you and censor you if you politely decline the medication that they're trying to bully and jam down your throat. And for the record, let's go back to Bill Gates a year ago, explain how the long-term trials for this vaccine are actually underway right now because it's so new.
I understand it then from what you're saying is that it may be that there needs to be some compromise in some of the safety measures that would normally be expected to create a vaccine because time is so crucial.
Well, of course, if you want to wait and see if a side effect shows up 2 years later, that takes 2 years. So whenever you're acting quickly, like during the HIV crisis, they created a quick way of getting drug approval. There is a trade-off there.
So quit with the propaganda trying to call people anti-this and anti-that. It's psychotic and unfair. But in that article, they talk about Kyrie Irving, who serves as the vice president on the executive committee of Players Union, apparently doesn't want the vaccine, and up to 50 to 60 players have yet to receive a single dose. One thing that I found interesting is that the Rolling Stone article said New York and San Francisco would require pro athletes to show proof of one COVID vaccination dose to play indoors. Just one. They're telling everybody to get 2, in some cases 3, the third booster shot. But to play indoors, you just need 1. Because science, right? Why not make it 2, if that's what you're telling everyone to get? Without further ado, let's listen to why Bradley Beal wants to make his own informed decision. Take a listen.
Every player, every person in this world is going to make their own decision for themselves. I would like an explanation to, people with vaccines. Why are they still getting COVID? If that's something that we are supposed to highly be protected from. Like, that's funny that, it reduces your chances of going to the hospital. It doesn't eliminate anybody from getting COVID, right? So is everybody in here vaxxed? I would assume, right? So you all can still get COVID, right?
We're less likely to die or go to the hospital.
Okay, but you can still get COVID. Right. So, and you can still pass it along with the vax, right?
So
I'm just asking the question.
Oh, sure. And so, like, having COVID back around the Olympics, like that, basically you're saying, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but having it change your opinion one way or another, like, did it kind of reemphasize, I don't need the vaccine because of that?
No, that wasn't the case. I mean, yeah, I had it, but that doesn't mean I can't get it again, I mean, it's no different than somebody with a vaccine. Like, yes, I developed the antibodies for it, so my chances will be less likely now as well, right? But it's still a possibility I may get it. Just like there are players and coaches and staff who are vaxxed and missing camp right now because of it. So
as much as these losers want to get upset and smear Bradley Beal for making his own decision as a healthy male, by the way, extremely healthy, extremely fit, in the upper percentile of human beings who take care of themselves, some of these disgusting degenerate reporters who look like they eat Pizza Hut and sit inside an apartment with 15 cats every day, they have some, well, I'm healthy and you need to listen to me. It's like, yeah, take care of yourself. But anyway, Bradley Beal's actually right about it not stopping the spread like they thought it did. And don't let them lie to you and pretend like they didn't say that, because here's the CDC director literally saying that just a few months ago.
Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick, and that it's not just in the clinical trials, but it's also in real-world data.
Yeah, but that's not true. BBC said on April 14th that Israel may be reaching herd immunity because they were all getting vaccinated, and it only took a few months in CNBC to say, here's why herd immunity from COVID is mythical with the Delta variant. Herd immunity went from imminent, here it comes, to mythical. It's not even real, according to the media. Reuters reported in February that the Israeli study finds that Pfizer vaccine is 95% effective against COVID-19, and it only took a few months for CNBC and the Israel data to say that Pfizer COVID vaccine is just 39% effective as Delta variant spreads, but still prevents severe illness, like Bradley Beal alluded to. So despite the narrative changing from we're going to reach herd immunity and it's going to work to stop you from getting the virus to it'll help you with severe illness, but it won't stop you from getting or spreading the virus, these psycho-medical authoritarian bully tyrant idiots keep trying to push that narrative. Well, you need to get it for other people because you idiots didn't even realize the narrative changed, because you get rewarded for pushing the pharmaceutical agenda, regardless of what the facts, data, and science says. Look no further than the Harvard Business School, which will move classes online amid rise in COVID cases. 96% of Harvard's university employees are vaccinated, while 95% of its students are vaccinated, according to the university's COVID-19 dashboard. But they still had a spike in cases and moved it indoors. Why don't you guys create a state or an island somewhere where you guys get 100% vaccination, don't hang out with any unvaccinated people, and then when the cases spike, you have no one to blame but yourselves, and you could hide inside and lock down and do some sort of weird role play as a solitary confinement prisoner. Can you please do that so you can stop terrorizing, abusing, and harassing the rest of humanity, please? Jonathan Isaac also had something very intelligent to say, and since he's a smart, informed, intelligent young man, the media is going to hate what he said. Take a listen.
Jonathan, Josh Robbins with The Athletic. What is it about the vaccine that makes you hesitant to get it?
I would start with I've had COVID in the past, and so our understanding of antibodies, of natural immunity has changed a great deal from the onset of the pandemic and is still evolving. I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessarily a fear of mine. Taking the vaccine, like I said, it would decrease my chances of having a severe reaction, but it does open me up to the, albeit rare chance, but the possibility of having an adverse reaction to the vaccine itself. I don't believe that being unvaccinated means infected, or being vaccinated means uninfected. You can still catch COVID with or without not having the vaccine. I would say, honestly, the craziness of it all, in terms of not being able to say that it should be everybody's fair choice without being demeaned or talked crazy to, doesn't make one comfortable to do what said person is telling them to do. I would say that's a couple of the reasons that I would say I'm hesitant at this time. But at the end of the day, I don't feel that it is anyone's reason to come out and say, well, this is why or this is not why. It should just be their decision. And loving your neighbors, not just loving those that agree with you or look like you or move in the same way that you do. It's loving those who don't.
And he's right. It is rare, but it also is part of the equation that most media doesn't want to talk about. In fact, on June 23rd, which is months ago, I'm sure it's changed and updated from then, but the CDC safety group says there's a likely link between rare heart inflammation in young people after COVID shot. There have been more than 1,200 cases of myocarditis or pericarditis, mostly in people under 30 who have received Pfizer or Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, according to CDC data. So there is risk in not getting the vaccine, like they're bullying people, and there is risk in getting it, although it's small. And here's the crazy thing. You can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID vaccine side effects. The government likely won't compensate you for damages either. So the liability's all on you. That's something you should say to your employer when they try to bully and harass you into doing this. Ask them if they have liability. And in general, it's your body, so if something happens to it, I don't think money is a good trade-off anyway. You make the decisions and you suffer either way, regardless. But it has to be your choice. In my perspective, in Bradley Beal's perspective, and in hundreds of millions, if not billions of people around the world, whether they got the vaccine or not. And I think Jonathan Isaac said, I don't think people are infected if they have or haven't the vaccine, which is a perfect counter to what the media is trying to tell people. You're infected, you're disgusting, you're subhuman if you don't bow down to the world's largest pharmacy commercial ever. Vermont is one of the most vaccinated states in the entire country. Vermont had 4 deaths according to New York Times data on September 26, 2021. All of last September, there were 0 deaths in Vermont when they had no vaccine in Vermont. This is the chart of cases. This is the chart of hospitalizations per New York Times. This is the chart of deaths. Why doesn't everybody who wants the vaccine move to Vermont? You can get 100% vaccination. You could close it off, not allow people in. Try it. Go ahead. Please try that experiment somewhere. I would love to see the results, because I'm watching the results of Israel, which has now administered over 3 million booster shots. And even Bloomberg was forced to admit that certain Israel data shows that a previous COVID prevents Delta infection better than the Pfizer shot. The largest real-world analysis comparing natural immunity gained from earlier infection. That sounds fake, right? That sounds like some sort of anti-vaxxer conspiracy. Could Bloomberg possibly be talking about that? Well, let's look what happens when Dr. Anthony Fauci is asked about it from Sanjay Gupta of CNN. He probably has a lot to say about that, right? Take a look.
And just real quickly, there was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity. And basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, I've already had COVID, I'm protected, and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
That's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. That's something that we're going to have to discuss regarding the durability of the response. The one thing the paper from Israel didn't tell you is whether or not, as high as the protection is with natural infection, what's the durability compared to the durability of a vaccine. So it is conceivable that you got infected, you're protected, but you may not be protected for an indefinite period of time. So I think that is something that we need to sit down and discuss seriously, because you very appropriately pointed out it is an issue, and there could be an argument for saying what you said.
And where are we?
Yeah, so it's not a conspiracy theory. Even Fauci admits it's worth talking about. And before we move on, is this a clip of Black Mirror or is this a clip of reality? Take a look.
What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it?
Greta Thunberg with her army of people putting things over their breathing holes so you can barely hear them. That's not dystopian at all. It's a perfect example of what climate justice will look like. It'll look exactly like that. So if you're interested in that, that's your team. And just to give another quick sports example to back up what Bradley Beal and Jonathan Isaac are saying, golfer Jon Rahm has an interesting story. He tested positive for COVID-19 twice in one season. The first time was when he passed 5 COVID tests and failed the 6th one, and they pulled him out of a tournament where he had a 6-shot lead and was probably going to win. So he had COVID-19, he got fully vaccinated, and then he had to miss the Olympics because, for those who don't know, I needed 3 negative tests, he said. Thursday negative, Friday negative, Saturday positive. I did a second one to make sure it wasn't a false positive. Rahm said he went back on Sunday and took a saliva test, an antibody test, and a PCR test, but he couldn't play in the Olympics because of that. So, had COVID, fully vaccinated, tested positive again. Just like the Harvard school, they got almost everybody vaccinated and there's still outbreaks. So to wrap it up real quick, here's what you shouldn't do. The psychotic New York governor, Kathy Hochul, says she will deploy medically trained National Guard troops to replace unvaccinated healthcare workers who will be fired tonight. So you're the heroes. You guys are the heroes. You're working through the pandemic when everybody else is sitting inside. You're the heroes. There is no vaccine yet. You're going to work through it anyway and put your life on the line, but now that you politely refuse this new double injection or triple or quadruple, I don't know how many booster shots there's going to be eventually, now you're the enemy. Now you need to be fired from your job. These people are psychopaths, and I hope the NBA is paying attention. A lot of these people aren't political. I'm sure they don't like Democrats or Republicans, but just look who's giving you more freedom. It's Republican states, Republican counties. Look who's going to give you a fair share. It's going to be me. And out of the corporate news, it's going to be Fox News who gives you a fair shake, just like they gave Nicki Minaj a fair shake. So I'm not saying they're great or perfect. I'm just saying I hope NBA players and black activists, to be honest, realize that it's conservatives and Republicans on average who believe in freedom, sovereignty, and don't want the government and corporate class jamming things down your throat. Please wake up to this, because voting patterns do not match this. And if the Democrats take over every state, this country is going to be unrecognizable and you're not going to be free. I saw this coming in 2019, September 8th. I said medical freedom is under attack in America now. Unfortunately, most conservatives don't care, and most liberals don't realize universal health care means total government control over the health industry, which will soon include mandatory injections if both sides sleep. How did I know that? Well, follow my page on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or anywhere, BitChute, Rumble, etc., or my Telegram at t.me/dreamerchat and find out. I do my research, I listen to what these people say, and the truth and the data and the science and the studies rarely match the psychopath bureaucrats who work for our government or psychotic, insanely fake and puppeteered media pawns who dance around and make people giggle while pushing the corporate narrative and trying to censor, silence, dehumanize, and demoralize anybody who respectfully and peacefully disagrees. Thank you so much for watching my video. God bless you, God bless your family, God bless America, and God bless the world. If you'd like to support my news analysis, I have these God Bless hats and the black beanies. It's winter, it's beanie season. GodBlessHats.com. You could support and also look good and keep your ears warm. Unlike the injection they're trying to jam down your throat, this is optional, so you don't have to buy one, but I appreciate it. Have a good one. I'll be back soon.